Welcome to Chapter 3, Section 3. In this section, we will cover the following: bad link penalties and how to recover, and solid link building tactics. After the Penguin update, there were many sites that were penalized for having unnatural inbound links, or they received unnatural link warnings from Google and Webmaster Tools, and then were penalized. The good news is that you can recover from bad links, but it does take a bit of elbow grease. Here's how. First, how do you know if your site was penalized? If your rankings and traffic reported from Google Webmaster Tools suddenly drops, it's very likely you've incurred a penalty on your site. There are two scenarios that we need to check for in order to correctly diagnose. First is check for a manual penalty. Log into your Google Webmaster Tools account and check if you have received any manual actions against your website. Click on search traffic and then go to manual actions. If your website has been manually reviewed and penalized by Google, you will see a message similar to the one shown on the screen. Most of the time, websites are penalized because the backlink profile on the site doesn't look natural. Number two, you need to check for an algorithm update penalty. Often it's the case that you have no warning messages in Google Webmaster Tools, but your rankings and traffic has still dropped. The first thing you need to do is check and see if any important algorithm updates recently hit. A good resource for this is Moz.com. There have been 2 recurring Google algorithm updates over the last year or two. Panda is ran to target sites with low quality and duplicate content, and Penguin targets websites with over-optimized, which is exact match anchor text. The Penguin algorithm is all about backlinks. This update has caused Google to penalize websites with low quality backlinks and unnatural anchor text distribution. Before Penguin, it was common for SEOs to create hundreds of backlinks using the same anchor text over and over and over again. For example, those that wanted to rank for payday loans were building hundreds of backlinks with exact match anchor text. It was like screaming at Google that you were building unnatural backlinks to your site. To recover from a Penguin update, you have to check your backlinks anchor text distribution. You can do this by using tools like Majestic SEO, Moz's Open Site Explorer, and Ahrefs to analyze your backlink anchor text. Sites that are routinely hit by the Penguin penalties have a tendency to have a 2:1 ratio of exact match anchor text to branded partial match total anchor text ratio. Stay on the safe side with anchor text and keep exact match anchor text to 5% of total site links. The next step is to download your backlink report from Google Webmaster Tools. The types of links that are likely culprit to a Penguin penalty are spammy blog roll links, link networks, private and public networks, comment spam, classified spam, form signature spam with exact match, article marketing links with signature spam, free-for-all directories, exact match anchor text or widget app links, and site-wide backlinks with no regard to relevancy. List all the links and domains that fit the above profile and endeavor to get contact details and remove them. Now clean up your act. A thorough link cleanup begins with process documentation. You need to list all the medium high-risk backlinks currently in your profile, their domains and contacts, and track communication requesting outright removal of the links when you reach out to the domain owners. It is best to remove any backlinks from an entire domain rather than just from a specific page. If you used an SEO company for link building in the past, reach out and ask them to assist you in the link removal process. Review old SEO reports to verify sources of links that you're looking to remove. The next step is to disavow links. If all else fails, you would be left with a list of domains that you have been unable to remove your backlinks from. It's time to use Google's disavow tool. I would strongly advise disavowing an entire domain rather than a specific web page, as you should really disassociate the entire domain from your site's backlink profile. Make sure you focus on link removals first before you use disavow in Webmaster Tools, and also note that with sites, how you contacted them, when, and where. Do not bother with a resubmission request until you've received a manual penalty notice in Google Webmaster Tools. The link cleanup list should look like this. Remove your bad link first. Disavow if that's unsuccessful. Use the reconsider request in Webmaster Tools only if you've received a manual penalty notice. If you were hit by Penguin, you're stuck until the next Penguin update. And if you were hit by a manual penalty, you can regain rankings in days, weeks, or a month. Penguin is algorithmic and not a manual penalty, but Google Penguin is just like Panda, and it's a computer program that is separate to Google's core algorithm. It is constantly learning through an AI code and is rolled out into core algorithm at specific scheduled times. It is better to view this as more of like a flush of the system based on specific rules that are aiming to sniff out web link spam. Manual and natural link penalties are different. This is flagged by Google's core algorithm, the one that constantly runs. The moment it picks up unnatural spammy backlinks, it penalizes your site and sends a notification to Google Webmaster Tools. If you clean it up, you're allowed to submit a reconsideration request that is forwarded to a member of Google's web spam team, and the domain is then reevaluated to make a decision on whether or not to lift a penalty. There are exceptions, though. Bigger companies could use a reconsideration request to jolt branded websites back into the SERPs from Penguin penalties without having to wait for the next rollout. Things to keep in mind with the Penguin updates as of May 2013. They affect the entire site, not just the page with the link. Penguin 1 seemed to only analyze homepage backlinks to determine penalties, but the second update to the algorithm runs a deeper backlink profile analysis on a page-by-page basis. If the site does not make the cut, a penalty is implied. Creative use of 301 directs to avoid a page penalty does not work and will do more harm than good. Treat the root cause of the penalty rather than the symptoms and clean up your spammy backlink profile. Focus on building quality links to drive forward in a sustained recovery. The final step in recovering from a link penalty is to dilute your anchor text ratio. Focus on building quality links from sites with high domain authority to regain rankings. If you've been hit or have yet to be hit and your backlink profile has exact match keyword anchor text that accounts for over 10% of your backlinks, it is highly suggested that you start building branded partial match anchor text. Natural backlinks to dilute your share of exact match keyword anchor text links. The quality links as well as the diversification of your anchor backlinks is key to recovering and surviving Penguin updates. A good rule of thumb is to run a competitor analysis on your top 5 competitors that are ranking for your desired search phrase to understand what the acceptable anchor text link ratio is in your niche. Use this as a benchmark for your link building efforts. So let's talk a bit about how we go about building natural quality links. There are 4 things you need to ask yourself before beginning a link building campaign. For an existing site, what does the current profile look like? Do you need to gain authority or noise? Do you actually need more links, or would other factors be more beneficial? Next, how will you generate the links? Should you run creative projects like infographics? Should you do blogger outreach guest posts? How will you reach out to webmasters? Social networks? Networking events? Telephone? Email? And what type of anchor text should you work with? Is there enough coverage from branded partial and partial match anchor text? What would Google's spam team look for during manual reviews? What type of anchor text would look most natural for your targeted sites? And is there enough supporting pages for the landing pages, or should more be created? Every campaign is different, so no 2 projects will have the same answers to these questions, but it'll give you a good starting point. The golden rule is that 80% of the time you're going to want to pursue links that you do not have control over the anchor text. If you stick to that strategy, you will be building links not just for what works, but yields the highest rewards. Don't ask for anchor text the majority of the time, and it doesn't matter what tactics you use. You'll be pursuing high quality links that stand up against rolling Penguin updates. Let's say you're doing infographics. You don't have to give up doing these, even though they can be potentially categorized as unnatural, and turn them into high-value links. The old way of doing infographic links is you stuck a widget in, it had the exact match anchor text, and it was distributed to 100 different blogs. Now the recommended tactic also prevents link decay over time. Just ask for attribution. This involves emailing someone the file and say, here, download this, link to us, and please give us attribution. You can also use Google's reverse image search to find out who is already posting your infographic and reach out to them to ask for a link. That way the anchor text remains natural and you gain a high value anchor. Press releases. Matt Cutts from Google's search team says that press releases are low value now because people abuse them and they became a spammy way to gain SEO traction. Used to be that people would have exact match anchor text in those press releases going out to dozens of low quality sites. And suddenly you're not going to rank for that phrase. The way to handle it now is in the anchor text in the press release, just use your URL or something that's branded. The high value way is to not use press releases for links at all. It's not what press releases were intended for. Use press releases to draw attention to some linkable asset on your site and not the actual press release itself. Then the press release goes out to hundreds of journalists. Hopefully your linkable asset is strong enough. Organizations can start linking to the work. The press release itself is not something you actually want links from, but it should link to a linkable asset. Guest posting. SEOs are leaning heavily on this right now as the number one tactic for building links currently. Guest posting can also get you into trouble. The old way of doing it is you have this over-optimized exact match anchor text in the author profile box. Looking at Penguin targeted and penalized sites, over-optimization penalties are the ones that get you into trouble here. If your link text is something like dental hygienist Dallas over and over and over and over across hundreds of blogs, that's going to get you into trouble. The better way is to do this post Penguin and to avoid exact match for your anchor text anytime you're going to be repeating them over and over. An even better way is to do it as natural anchor text in the middle of the guest post that links back to your linkable asset. Say you have an infographic. This is what you should be linking to. If you don't have that, you should create that first before any guest posts are written. Don't just link back to your blog or your company website. Create something on that website that is related and valuable to your guest post that you can link back to. Finally, outreach. The good old-fashioned writing emails to ask for links. Back in the old days, people would write outreach letters and they would just ask for an anchor text. Could you please link to me and do it like this? It's a little different today. Today, you hope to influence the anchor text. Check out my blog on cucumber health benefits. And then you'd link to the list of benefits from cucumbers, hoping they'd link to it the same way. The best plan of action for outreach and to keep it natural and not controlling anchor text in any sort of way, don't ask for a link. Ask for a share instead. When you write an email, say something like, hey, we've got this great piece on cucumber health benefits. We want to get the word out. Would you share it with your audience? If they're going to, 6 times out of 10, they'll actually put it on their blog or their site. And you'll get a link anyways with natural anchor text. Other times it will be shared with their social network, exposing it to thousands of natural referrals and possibly getting many more of natural anchor texts than you would have otherwise received. That wraps up Chapter 3. Next up in Chapter 4, we've got domain age, duplicate content, and 301 redirects.